Three, two, one.
All right. Welcome to our 2024 Association for Mormon Letters Conference. Our theme this year is the Youth of Zion, focusing on literature for youth, children, teenagers. And as I look over the program, I'm really actually humbled to be opening up the conference. I won't take too much of our time since I think that the presenters we have for the next few days are really so much better than I could ever be to talk about this topic. But as I was thinking about this theme, and as we were thinking about the theme, I really thought about some of those parallels that exist between literature for youth, for juvenile literature, and Mormon literature. Uh, First of all, we talk about Mormonism being a religion that's really founded on this idea of text. Our religion itself was actually founded by a youth, a juvenile, a young man who was only 14, and he was interacting with the text, with the Bible, and thinking about it, and reading about it, and asking questions. So from the very beginning, we've always had this focus on the power of literature, the power of reading uh, in Mormonism. But as I was thinking about it, literature for youth faces some of the same challenges that Mormon literature faces. There seems to be kind of a perceived simplicity in that type of literature, a lack of seriousness, an assumption that writing for a particular audience means that only those in that demographic can get anything out of a book written for them. There's unspoken ideas that those who write for youth or those who write for Mormons, or perhaps for both, will someday move on to real books, something more mature. Uh, there's also some issues with both types of literature that they're often seen as kind of suspect or dangerous, that literature can expose their audiences to unsafe ideas or problematic ways of seeing the world. Youth literature and Mormon literature are often also both perceived as springing from a similar didactic impulse, and with their primary purpose being only to teach or instruct readers, and therefore being simplistic and not able to be sophisticatedly analyzed. Mormon literature and youth literature often find themselves being assailed from multiple directions with contradictory complaints that, first of all, they're too simplistic to be taken seriously, while others worry that they're so powerful that their very existence is corruptive. A lot of the same concerns attack both Mormon literature and youth literature, but I think, as we'll notice in this conference, that there are many of us who are working to remember that the power of both, the power of writing for particular audiences, and the many layers of sophistication that can exist in both youth literature, literature for and about children or teenagers, and literature for, about, or even by Mormons. As I mentioned, I was humbled to even be introducing this conference, especially thinking about our three special achievement winners, the Smith Pettit Award winner, Shannon Hale, and our two Lifetime Achievement Award winners, Chris Crow and Carol Lynch Williams. All three of these winners have spent decades advocating for and promoting and teaching about youth literature, youth literature about Mormons, by Mormons, as well as youth literature in general. They have spent much of their careers convincing people to take this literature seriously. And I think it's an honor to be here with them. I'm especially pleased that right after this, we're going to hear from Chris Crow with doing what he does best, presenting with a group of students. I actually had the opportunity to take Chris's young adult literature class about 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago at BYU. And that was right around the time I was also introduced to Mormon literature, including some of the novels of Carol Lynch Williams in Chris's class. And that was a really important experience for me to kind of get out of I also had, read a lot of YA literature as a teenager, and then I went to college and became an English major and thought, okay, I've moved on to more mature literature, to the classics and the canon. And taking Chris's class reintroduced me to the power of literature of all kinds. Now I work in the library space, and there's a saying in librarianship that there's a reader for every book and a book for every reader. And I really hope this conference will show us that there are all kinds of books out there, there are all kinds of readers, and that all kinds of literature are powerful. And I hope that we all have a wonderful and enjoyable conference, and that something in any of these sessions will speak to you. And I want to thank all those who are participating, especially those presenting. And I also want to offer my congratulations to Chris and Carol and to Shannon for winning their awards. So thank you and welcome to our conference this year.